I know y'all want to talk about Grant Cardone. There's a lot of people that's upset about what Grant Cardone got going on. I know that's what y'all came to see. Y'all want to see whether or not Grant Cardone is a culture vulture. Y'all want to see whether or not Grant Cardone is taking advantage of the black people. Y'all want to see whether or not it makes sense or not to continue to do business with white people. Let me ask y'all a question. Just curious before we get into this Grant Cardone video. All right? Just curious. If you could make $1,000 a year, and I'm going to be reading super chats throughout the show. Thank y'all for holding me down. If you can make $1,000 a year doing business with Ray from around the block, but he looked like you. May not necessarily align with your principles, but he looked like you. Because y'all know y'all always say support black regardless of whether or not he's actually a good person or not. If you can make $1,000 a year doing business with Ray's tire shop, and you can get it's a profitable venture, possibly. Or you can make $1 million a year doing business with Grant Cardone, even if you think he's, because I'm going to play the video, even if you think he's a culture vulture, would you do it? Ask yourself that question, because a lot of people got a lot of standards because they don't have any vested interest in what's going on in the environment and in the culture. And so when you ain't got no money on the line, it's easy to be a sideline coach. Y'all ever hear these people on a regular basis? They should have ran the ball. I don't know why they ain't give it to LeBron or Dame Lillard. Kobe would have shot it. It's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking. The one thing that I know for sure, and two things is for certain, is that when it comes to that bread, people don't see color. They see class. They see opportunity. I know people that will do business with the KKK headmaster themselves if it came along with a financial incentive in order to do so. Let me get into the video, because one thing that I needed to do is that I needed to find the original video, because it's very easy to be able to look at what you see as a clip on social media or Instagram. You see a 30-second, you see a 25-second clip, and then people create an entire narrative about it. And so what I like to do more often than not is go and find the original video, and that way I can parse through exactly what was communicated. Now, I have not watched the whole video. I did go through so that I can actually skim through and find relatively where the mark is, where he starts to have this part of the conversation that all of the black people that don't even do business with Grant Cardone got upset at. But let's get into the video, right? Let me try to scrub through and find it where it's at.
Yeah, they fought. We had 1 million people this week tune in for an event online that was free.
Wow. And it wasn't even the one with Eric Trump, with Laura Trump. I'm just kidding.
But it'd have been 2 million people if I.
So why do you think it is that you translate so well to people? Because people obviously are interested in what you're doing. Is it because they aspire to be like you, because you are successful and you're not shy about your success? You know, I've seen a lot of the things you've done especially on your Instagram.
Did you cringe at any of them? Like,
Well, no, it's funny because the way you do things, I actually think is very tasteful. Some people do them and it's a little like, okay, like we got it.
Yeah.
I think seeing how you did it, it's very tastefully done, but I do think, is it because you're an inspiration to people and people want to be like you? Why do you think you've had all of the follows on all these social media platforms?
Well, I think that I'm not tasteful half the time. Like, I'm not. I mean, I look at stuff and I cringe. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting on the top I'm sitting on a Rolls Royce on the.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to go check that one out.
And I'm literally throwing money, like. So anyway, what I'm trying to do though is, that's not going to appeal to you, right? But there's audiences, and I think the reason we have done well there is because it's very raw, it's fast, it's unedited, it's a little bit in your face. I'm telling people the truth. I'm very similar to your father-in-law in some ways.
Yeah.
Unscripted. I'm just gonna lay it out the way it is. If you don't like me for it, no problem.
Well, he's not upset about showing off the assets that he has. So, there are some similarities there too.
I think that a lot of people miss the comments because we're going to get, obviously, he's going to continue to talk and he's going to get into the whole black comment. The thing that people really don't understand, and I like to call it the Mayweather effect, right? The Mayweather effect, I think that the majority of content creators or even people that's just watching on the sidelines that like to put themselves in the shoes of people that are content creators are not actually taking into consideration what makes content creators successful. And it's called marketing. Now, marketing can also be just a part of who you truly are. My marketing in particular is very much in your face, tell you exactly what it is. I really don't give a fuck about your feelings, and I'm going to live my lifestyle, and I'm going to show it off to you as a result of it. I like wearing Rolexes. I like phenomenal timepieces, and I just so happen to have one of the most expensive ones that you can buy that is stock. There's a few more that's actually more expensive, but I don't like diamonds, and then B, the other one that is more expensive than this, I actually got it on order. But this is a part of my lifestyle. Now, what most people will say is that, Anton, you need to be a little bit more humble. Anton, the same way you came up is the same way you came down, or the same way that they can take you down. First of all, if you come from where I come from, then you truly don't give a fuck about what nobody else thinks. It can't get any lower than where I came from. You don't know what it feels like, and you don't really know the story and the journey, and so everything is points on the board. Secondly, it is appealing to people for you to actually show the results, because nobody actually wants to hear the journey about how you got successful until you get successful. Then they want to get the blueprint as to how it is that you got there. I'm going to just tell you this. Nobody gave a fuck when you was broke. Nobody is ever going to come to you and say, oh, good job being humble. Good job having so much humility. I love the fact that you're a spiritual person and that you have good intentions in your heart. They don't give a fuck about you. They looking for either somebody to tear down or somebody to herald. They looking for a hero or a villain. They don't care about the people in the middle. The people in the middle don't exist to the overall majority of society. Is there a lane for them? Absolutely. But you have to find it. You got to mine that thing out. But what I'm telling you is that nobody cares about the humble poor guy or the humble average guy. Nobody is checking for his opinion. They don't care. I call it the Mayweather effect. Just as many people from a technical boxing perspective tuned in to see Mayweather win, and then the rest of them actually looked at him as a villain and they tuned in to see him lose. They only bought the fight because they was looking to get him his first loss. But either way, they bought the fight. And they cannot stop taking their eyes off of you as long as you continue to either play the villain or you live long enough to become the villain. Y'all not hearing me. Either you going to play the villain, I'm going to read super chats throughout the show. Either you going to play the villain or you going to live long enough to become the villain. I seen a video yesterday of Jay-Z running into Rakim, and he showed him all kind of gratitude and love, and he hugged him, and the only comment that I seen going through is, look at Jay-Z's eyes. He shouldn't have looked past him. Oh, man, that's disrespectful. He the worst. When you get to the top, you become the villain. When you get to the top, you become the villain. Every last one of them. Every single person that eventually climbs to the top of the mountain. I don't care if you're the president of the United States. Everybody fucked with Trump as long as he wasn't the president. He was the hip hop real estate mogul. Nobody tripped about the fact of whether or not he filed for bankruptcy, however many times he filed for bankruptcy. Nobody checked and was rocking and going against Trump until he became the president of the United States. Then it was what the fuck, Orange Man bad. That is the truth. Either you're going to be the villain from the very beginning or you're going to live long enough to actually become him. You're going to be the villain or you're going to live long enough to actually become him. And nobody is going to appreciate you until you die. Remember when they went off on Kobe? Remember when Kobe should have lost his contract because everybody was going against him? You loved Elon Musk on his way up. Now he's become a terror, a menace, firing Twitter employees, a conservative. If you stay in the limelight long enough and you make enough money and you become enough of a winner, they're going to come in. I seen people go against Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart ain't never had a bad word to say about nobody. He ain't even funny. They went after Dave Chappelle. And then they started to love him again once he became the humble comedian that was going up against the big guys. Give him his catalog back. The more good you do for people, the more they're going to look to tear you down. Because the nature of man is evil. No matter what you do for them, no matter how much you got for them, no matter how much you pour into your community, eventually, look at Martin Luther King. The conversations that I have anytime you mention Martin Luther King is how much of an a-hole he was and how much we never should have followed Martin Luther King. They hated him when he was alive. They loved him when he died. And now they're resurrecting his memory in order to continue to tear him down. They talk about the possibility of him being a cheater. They talk about the possibility of him leading black people into a burning building. It's the truth. It's the absolute positive truth. Getting into this game, I already understood that eventually I was going to become the villain.
What do you think would happen, Grant, if I sat on top of a Rolls Royce and was like just throwing the money out? Like, how do you think that would be received? I mean, people would. I couldn't even imagine the reaction if I did something like that.
Depends on what outfit
Reading super chats throughout the show.
Obviously, it'd have to be in a bikini of some variety. I think that's the only way to successfully execute that one. Well, it's just so interesting that's what people really do enjoy. I think they tune in for that sort of thing, right?
There's an audience out there. That's the only way you can stop them, because you're competing with all this other stuff, right?
Yeah, that's true. They want to stop and look at it as they're scrolling through.
Well, that's all people are doing. They're doing this. If you just watch yourself move through it, you're just moving through it. So if you don't stop, I never really got your attention. So for us, about half my audience is black under the age of 40. How did a white guy?
Half of his audience. He understands his audience. See, this is not the breakdown that y'all thought that y'all was going to get. This is the breakdown that you actually need. I look at everything from a business perspective. He understands his audience. His analytics tells him that half of his audience are black people under the age of 40. Half of his audience are black people under the age of 40. That is important. Understand your audience. Understand your demographic. Understand who's buying your products. Understand who it is that you're talking to on a daily basis and the why behind them tuning into you. If the overwhelming majority of his audience are men, black men under the age of 40, let's continue.
Attract an audience. Like if I'm out in public and I see.
Why do you think that Damon John was on his show? He probably could have got Mark Cuban. He probably could have got any of them sharks on there. He could have got a whole lot of people. Why do you think that Damon John was on his show? Mr. For Us By Us.
A 55-year-old white man or a 25-year-old black kid, the black kid knows who I am.
Facts.
There's like there's a 10 times better chance, 10x, that the black kid knows me. Now the reason is because we go after that audience and we're talking to them in very street terms, if you will, very not big nomenclature, vocabularies. Mm-hmm. You know, we just keep everything very tight and simple.
Now, is it because it's Grant saying it with his white skin? Does it make it any less true about his ability to be able to market himself to his core audience more effectively than the next guy? Because Grant got, 2 million plus subscribers, something like that? I don't know. I haven't even looked at it lately. Grant got over, and he appeals to me. I'm literally right there on the cusp. 40-year-old black man, incredibly successful, takes a lot of his principles and ways in which I'll do you one better. You want to know the sauce? I'll give you the sauce. I have literally learned, not just from a financial perspective, but also from a marketing perspective, how it was that I could take some of Grant Cardone's ability to be able to resonate with his audience in the exact same way. Same way. I'm not going to give you all of the sauce because that's Patreon level content, and I'll tell you exactly what it is that I do more effectively than other people. However, his ability to be able to resonate with his audience, you have to first understand who your audience is. So if I understand who my audience is, and I realize, okay, the majority of the people are black, under 40, and then I understand the demographic of black people under 40 that's looking for sound financial advice, I'm going to adjust my message to be more or less resonate with them. I'll give you another example. You know why y'all don't like Boyce Watkins? You know why y'all don't like when Boyce Watkins get on to give financial advice? I don't necessarily think that he's wrong because the majority of financial advice is opinionated based off of what you're talking about. I'm reading super chats throughout the show. I'm much better at what I do than Boyce Watkins. I'm much better and I resonate much more with a younger audience than Boyce Watkins. Do you know why? When Boyce Watkins jump on, he doesn't resonate with you. He's blue pill, right? Come on, let's break it down. I'm going to help y'all to look at it much deeper than what it is that we're looking at on the surface. He's a blue pill man, married a single baby mother. I'm going to break it all the way down. He's a nerd, but he's a nerd. He's not a nerd that was smart, that was born in the hood. He's a nerd that was like, oh, you must have grew up in a white neighborhood, nerd, so he don't resonate with you. The way that he talk, his lingo, Boyce Watkins ain't going to call you a nigga like I'm going to call you a nigga, and then I'm going to be able to give you the context and say, well, it's a difference between black people and a nigga. I'm different. And it hit different. You know what I'm saying? The same way that rap music hit much different than gospel music. The same way is much easier to be able to listen to the community leader than the professor. If you look in a classroom, and the reason why a lot of classrooms don't resonate with black people is because they can't relate. They need to understand who you are. And I understood getting into this game that I had to substantiate myself just as much as it was my ability to be able to talk and reason with people as far as them being able to tackle what it is that I needed them to tackle. And so when boys talk, it sound like nails on a chalkboard. When I talk, I'm going to be like, fuck your feelings. Who the fuck you talking to? Make sure you get your life together. And then it's going to be people that say, Anton, you're not Christian enough. And I'm going to say, well, what have you done as a Christian to do anything for anybody that actually resonate for the kingdom of God? And fuck you and your Christian beliefs because you're not actually Christian enough either because you ain't living it and you fucking on somebody else's girl. Punk. It hit different. It hit different. And so when I see Grant and he's saying, listen, for us to be able to resonate more effectively, he going to show you the jet. He going to show you the Rolls Royce. He going to talk his talk and he's going to be like this and that, so on and so forth, for whatever song, however it's going to fly. And it's going to hit. It's going to resonate. Now, the question that you then have to ask yourself is the information actually pertinent or accurate enough for me to actually use it and get some value out of it? That's a completely different conversation. But when it comes to marketing, he's 100% right. I hate to say it, but he's 100% right.
And at the same time, we've had, raised $1 billion in the last 3 years over the internet from accredited investors. So we're hitting both bands. They're all on social media. The whole world's there.
Now, when I seen this clip on Instagram, they clipped it up to remove that second part. They didn't keep that second part in. They only had it to the first part. They didn't keep that second part in. Why do you think that is? Whoever originally made that clip, why do you think that they did it that way? Did they do it that way in order to actually parse through and get you some information that allows for you to be more successful? Or did they do it to actually be able to get some views and paint Grant Cardone a certain type of way in order to make it seem like he's a culture vulture because he said that he markets to black people and he understands that the way that people want to be talked to within that community is a certain type of way. If I'm marketing to Mexicans, if I'm marketing to Arabic people, if I'm marketing to a white man that is above the age of 60, would I be talking like this? Would I be talking when I be saying nigga and all of this other type of stuff? No, I wouldn't. I absolutely, positively would not. If I'm marketing to women that are looking to vote a specific type of way, then you have to change the way in which you deliver the message itself. It could be the same message, but you can say anything to anybody if you say it the right way. But you need to understand your audience and your demographic.
I know, it's sort of amazing. Were you affected in any way? Were you at any time like shadow banned, or did you ever get you were?
Oh yeah, I've been shadow banned on Twitter. Twitter, we couldn't get any followers on Twitter for the last 5 years.
How's it going now?
It's exploding.
Yeah, a little better.
I've added, I don't know, 400,000 in the last 2 months.
I think we made our point here.